Servus and welcome to Flo's German Kitchen. I am Flo, this is my kitchen and I show you how to cook the German way. Today we're going to the southwest, to the region of Schwaben, Swabia. And if you will ask a Schwabe, a Swabian guy, what is the greatest thing on earth, he will probably say this.
Linse mit Spätzle und Seidewürste.
Linse und Spätzle und Seidewürste, Linsen, lentil, Spätzle and Wiener sausage. Actually, this is a dish that goes way back to my childhood days. The first 30 years of my life I spent in Swabia, and I grew up with Linsen und Spätzle. And then I moved to Bavaria and I kind of forgot about Linsen and Spätzle, and just a couple of weeks ago I rediscovered that, and it's such a wonderful dish that I'll never again forget on my menu of things to cook. So what do we need for Linsen and Spätzle? Of course, the first thing is the lentil. These are soaked in water overnight, so the cooking process goes quicker. Then they are cooked in plain water for about 20 minutes, so I've prepared that already. You don't have to wait for that. We have some vegetable, onion, carrot, and I think this is called leek. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but let's say this is leek. We have the Seidewürstler, Wiener sausages. We have smoked pork belly. This looks like quite a lot, and yes, it is. Usually you can just take half of that amount, but my family loves bacon so much that I'll put a little more. What else do we have? We have beef stock, we have vinegar, we have salt, pepper. Later on I'll bring on the star of the show. Those are the Spätzle, and of course, as always, a good guzzle of German beer. Wunderbar. So let's start with the vegetable. What I do with the vegetable is that I cut it in pieces about that size, little dices, not too small, but not too big. So in the end it might come out about the same size as the lentils. And go on with the carrot. I also cut them in little dice. That is a bit of an effort, but you will want that done well so the pieces aren't too big. If it comes to the leek, actually, you don't necessarily have to take it. I just had it left over and I don't want it to go to waste. So I'll add it. It adds some flavor, but it's not necessary. These are already all the preparations I have to do, so I'll set up the stove and see you in a minute. So let's prepare our wonderful lentil stew. The first thing we are going to do is we render out the fat of the bacon. So we start with little heat. And just cover the pot with our bacon. So I've started with about 30% of the maximum heat of the stove, so that really the bacon releases its fat, so that we don't have to use extra oil or something to to fry the vegetable, but we really want the fat to come out of the bacon and then use that. It takes a little patience, but it always helps if you have a beer with you. So you can see some fat is already dripping out of the bacon. So you can see the bacon is nicely browned. That took me around 15 to 20 minutes and most of my beer, but it's worthwhile. If you don't have the patience to do that, what you can do is just put some oil or any kind of fat and just fry the bacon pieces. Now I take them off. And don't worry about that brown. It'll go off when I'm deglazing the whole thing. So let's put the vegetables. Okay, time to deglaze. Good thing I have some beer left. I'm gonna use that. And add some of the beef stock. So this has been cooking for another 5, 6, 7 minutes. I got myself a fresh beer in the meantime, and all the flavors from the bottom of the pot, they have dissolved in the sauce, and so this is a good time for a guzzle of beer. And to add the lentils. I'll add some salt already. That stew is really something that's supposed to taste pretty sour, but if you add the vinegar first, it adds to the time for the lentil to cook through. So the vinegar is the last thing you add to the stew. So you can see this is a very saucy stew, but that's what it's supposed to be like because we're gonna eat it with spätzle, and so there needs to be a lot of sauce. But we want it to be a bit thicker, that's why I add some cornstarch to emulsify the thing. Now I can feel it's getting a bit thicker. Now this is what we want. The lenses are cooked through. Everything is in a fine consistency. Now it just needs a bit more salt, pepper, and of course the vinegar. Because as I said, this is really supposed to be a pretty sourish taste. And this is also a good time to add the wieners and put back the bacon. An important thing, the moment you add the sausages, it is not supposed to boil anymore, because if it boils, the sausages are gonna burst. So now I'll let it rest. I'll heat up some water to make the Spätzle and see you back in a couple of minutes. So here are the Spätzle. You might remember these guys. They were the stars in the last video where I presented 3 ways of preparing handcrafted Spätzle. That's what's left of them. If you haven't seen the video, just follow the link that's somewhere above. So we put the Spätzle. Some stew. And of course, you will want to have your sausage on top of it. So let's give it a try. This is just wonderful. This is really wonderful. The lentil stew, it's got some sourness. The Spätzle got the wonderful Spätzle flavor, and you can taste the flavor that the bacon has released in the stew. The bacon itself, lovely. And that's still not it, because there is the Ciderwürstle, the wieners. I promise I will never forget this dish again. It feels like I've wasted 20 years of my life not eating Linsen and Spätzle. So this is really great. Try it at home, enjoy it. If you like my video, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you follow some of my affiliated links, you can support my channel. This is great, enjoy it, and always enjoy a good German beer. Cheers on Linsen und Spätzle. Wunderbar.